Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, a legend, and welcome to my village hidden in the leaves. Alright, now let me stop the trolling. But you guys already know what this is. Another video, new series. What if Naruto was psychologically broken by Hinata? You already know, this is a new series. Now, if you guys like this video, and you immediately want a part two of this, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna have to give me 30 likes. I want my 30 likes if you want an immediate part two. But, hey, we just gonna stick with the regular like goal of 8 to 10 likes. But if you want an immediately part two, 30 likes. Give me that now. Let's go. Hit that. Smash that like button. But I already know this video was going to perform well. It is a psychological thriller mystery type of what if that I wrote. But hey, this video was going to do good, God willing. But without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if. The night was cool and still. The kind of night that was quiet. The kind of night that came only when Konoha had fallen asleep. The lanterns lining the street burned low, their soft amber glow spilling across the cobblestone paths like ribbons of light. Above them, the stars were sharp and countless, scattered across the velvet black sky that seemed endless. Naruto Uzumaki walked hand in hand with Hinata, their shadows swaying together in rhythm as they made their way home. Both were older now, 19 and 20. But there was still a touch of youth in their laughter, in the way Hinata's fingers tightened gently around his, and in how Naruto smiled every time she looked up at him. They had finished dinner with friends a little earlier, and the walk home was meant to be a peaceful one. Their voices were quiet, almost hushed in respect for the sleeping village, yet their conversation took an unexpected turn. Naruto wasn't even sure how it started. One moment, they had been talking about Hanabi's training, and the next, Hinata was mentioning her other sisters. Yes, she said lightly, her eyes calm, her tone deceptively casual. 3 sisters in total. Hanako, Nobara, and Hanabi. Naruto blinked, his head turning towards her. Wait, hold on. Hanako and Nobara. Hinata nodded, smiling faintly. My twins. Hinata giggled softly. I guess it's just not something people outside of the clan talk about much. Hanako and Nobara were never part of the main branch, so they stayed out of the public eye. You've met them before, at the clan festival last spring, and on a few other occasions. Oh, those 2, he muttered. I didn't realize they were, well, you. Naruto knew who Hinata was talking about. He just thought she was using shadow clones each time he saw Hinata with Nobara or Hanako. However, he only thought that until last spring when he found out that they were actually triplets. Hinata smiled again, amused by his confusion. It's easy to miss it, isn't it? Yeah, Naruto admitted. You could all trade places and no one would notice. The words left his mouth half jokingly, but when he looked at Hinata, she was giving him a look that wasn't playful at all. There was a quiet intensity in her eyes, a spark of something unreadable. What? He asked, frowning. Hinata tilted her head slightly. That's an interesting thought, she murmured. Us trading places. Naruto's brow furrowed. What are you talking about? She met his gaze directly, the moonlight catching on her pale eyes. I said, what if I let my sisters and me test you to see if you can tell the difference between us, to see if you really know me the way you think you do. Naruto froze mid-step. For a long moment, the only sound was the faint whisper of wind brushing through the trees. His mind replayed her words, trying to find the humor in them. But there was none. I'm sorry, he said finally, voice even. I don't think I heard that right. Can you repeat that, Hinata? She giggled softly, brushing her hair behind her ear. You heard me. You'd have to tell us apart, Naruto-kun. Me, Hanako, and Nobara. Naruto looked at her, disbelief written across his face. But beneath that disbelief was something heavier, a trace of unease that crept slowly into his chest. He knew Hinata well enough to recognize when she was serious, even when she smiled. And the way she said it, she didn't mean a harmless guessing game. He knew what she really meant. She meant that her sisters would take her place in her home, in her life. They would learn her tone, her gestures, her quiet habits, right down to the smallest breath and whisper. They would sit at the same table, wear her clothes, move through their house like it was theirs. They would become her reflection, indistinguishable from the real thing. Hinata watched him closely, her expression soft yet unreadable. By the time they reached their home, Naruto's mind was a swirl of disbelief and worry. When they stepped through the door, the quiet click of the lock behind them seemed to echo too loudly in the silence. Hinata slipped off her sandals neatly and smiled at him, her voice soft as ever. It would only be for a month, she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And afterward, you'd get a wonderful reward. Naruto's jaw tightened. To anyone else, her tone would have sounded teasing, but to him, it was something else. It was a knife wrapped in silk, a bomb masked with flirtation. He turned toward her slowly, setting his black jacket on the nearby chair. No, he said firmly. I don't want to do that, Hinata. We're married. I don't want to bring any kind of confusion or problems into what we have, or into your sister's lives either. Hinata stepped closer, her eyes half-lidded, her expression unreadable. Her hand came to rest gently against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart through his shirt. You're always so kind, she whispered, her fingers tracing a small circle over his chest. So honest. Her tone carried both affection and something else. Something faintly mocking beneath the sweetness. Naruto met her gaze, unflinching. I'm serious, he said. Whatever this is, whatever you're trying to prove, it's not worth it. Hinata smiled faintly, the corner of her lips curling upward. You worry too much, Naruto-kun. Hinata then leaned up and kissed Naruto on the lips. The kiss was gentle, passionate, and her lips were soft. When Hinata finally pulled away, she looked up at Naruto, eyes darkening with lust as she licked her lips. She reached forward, grabbing Naruto's hand as she began to pull him towards the bedroom. Come on, Naruto-kun. Come to bed with me. Hinata's voice was laced with arousal, and Naruto let her pull him into the bedroom. When the two of them passed the threshold, the door closed behind the two of them, and Hinata pushed Naruto back onto the bed. Hinata undressed herself slowly, teasingly, like she had all day, and Naruto removed his shirt. He went to remove his pants, but Hinata stopped him, and removed them for him. That night, Naruto and Hinata made love. Naruto held Hinata by her hips, and Hinata touched Naruto like he was hers. Her touch lingered with confidence and gentleness. Her kisses lingered long after with passion and need. When Hinata moaned, it was small, subtle, almost quiet, like a gasp. She was a woman that preferred to be on the bottom, a woman whose eyes smoldered when she was enjoying it. And when Hinata wrapped her legs around Naruto, it was to ground herself, but also to keep Naruto, like she didn't want him to leave. When the two of them were done, Hinata curled up next to Naruto, her head on his shoulder as the two of them drifted off to sleep. The first rays of dawn were barely creeping over the rooftops of Konoha when Naruto stirred awake. A faint chill clung to the air, the kind that seeped through half-open windows and brushed against bare skin. He shifted beneath the blanket, blinking once, twice, before reaching out across the bed. His hand met the cool sheets. Naruto frowned. The other side of the bed was empty, Hinata's side. Her pillow was still slightly indented, but the warmth had long since faded. He sat up slowly, running a hand through his messy blonde hair. The house was quiet except for the faint patter of water from the bathroom, the sound of the shower. He exhaled through his nose. Hinata must have woken early again. Swinging his legs over the side of the bed, he stood and straightened up the covers, pulling the blankets tight. The shower turned off with a click. Steam drifted out of the slightly open bathroom door a minute later. Hinata emerged in a white towel that clung to her curves. Her long hair, still damp, glistening with beads of water that caught the soft morning light. Without saying a word, she crossed the room with her usual calm grace and disappeared into the kitchen. Naruto watched her go, his brow creasing slightly. Something about her steps, too brisk, too deliberate, didn't match the quiet rhythm he'd grown used to. But he brushed it aside, chalking it up to his half-awake mind. He grabbed a fresh towel and headed into the shower himself. When he stepped out 10 minutes later, the smell of breakfast filled the air. Warm butter, frying batter, a hint of sweetness. He dressed quickly and padded barefoot into the kitchen, toweling his hair dry. Hinata stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with easy precision. The sunlight streaming through the window washed her hair in gold. The scent of jasmine faintly clinging to her skin. For a moment, Naruto just stood there, admiring the familiar scene, the kind of peaceful, domestic morning he'd once dreamed of. She glanced over her shoulder as she felt his presence and smiled. "Morning, babe." Naruto blinked. Morning, babe? He almost didn't register it. His brain, still hazy from sleep, caught the word a moment too late. Hinata never called him that. Not once. To her, he was always Naruto-kun. Sometimes Naruto, but only when she was upset or teasing him. Babe? That didn't fit her voice. It sounded borrowed, foreign. But he didn't question it. He smiled faintly, returning her greeting with his usual warmth. "Good morning, Hinata. What are you making?" She didn't look at him as she answered. "Pancakes, with honey this time instead of syrup." Naruto stepped closer, drawn by the smell, He slipped his arms around her waist from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. Her body tensed immediately. It wasn't just a flinch. It was a startled, reflexive motion, like she hadn't expected him at all. Naruto froze too, his instincts whispering that something was wrong. He held Hinata countless times, in countless ways. She had never stiffened like that. Never. He waited, feeling the beat of her heart beneath his fingertips. Slowly she relaxed, her body softening against him, as she let out a small, nervous laugh. "You startled me," she said softly. "I thought you were still sitting at the table." Naruto studied her face from the side. Her eyes, her expression, her tone. There was nothing outwardly strange about them. Yet there was a faint, off rhythm to the way she spoke, like a note slightly out of tune. But he let it go, forcing a smile. "Sorry. Guess I should have said something." He released her and went to sit at the table. A few minutes later, Hinata brought over 2 plates stacked with golden pancakes. The table was neatly set. Forks, napkins, even a small bowl of sliced fruit. Naruto noticed how precise everything looked, how deliberately arranged, as if done by someone trying very hard to imitate perfection. As Hinata sat down, the scent of something floral drifted across the table. Naruto's eyes shifted to a small cup beside her plate, a delicate porcelain teacup, steam rising from within. Jasmine tea. He froze. Hinata didn't drink tea in the mornings, ever. She always drank water with her breakfast, always. It was one of those little constants that grounded their daily life. He stared at the cup, then at her. She took a calm sip, her lips curving faintly in contentment. Naruto's voice came quietly. "You're drinking tea?" Hinata looked up, blinking. "Jasmine tea," he clarified. "You don't usually drink that this early." She tilted her head, unbothered. "I'm just in the mood for it." Her tone was light, but there was something practiced about it. Like someone reading from a script they'd rehearsed too many times. Naruto hesitated, eyes narrowing so slightly. "It's not a problem," he said slowly. "It's just different from your usual morning routine." Hinata smiled, that gentle, perfect smile she always wore. But then she rolled her eyes. Just a small movement, subtle and casual, but Hinata never rolled her eyes. Not at him, not at anyone. It was a habit that belonged to someone else. "You're thinking too much into it, Naruto-kun," she said teasingly, her voice wrapping around the words like silk. Naruto's pulse ticked faster. Something was wrong, deeply wrong, but he didn't want to believe it. He didn't want to think that the woman sitting across from him, smiling sweetly, wasn't the same one he'd fallen asleep beside last night. He didn't want to imagine that Hinata's unsettling words from the night before, that dangerous "what if" about her sisters, had been more than idle talk. He watched her as she ate, every motion deliberate and graceful. He studied the way her eyes moved, how her lashes flickered when she blinked, how her tongue darted to the corner of her mouth after each sip of tea. Everything looked right, but the rhythm was off, like a melody played one note too slow. Hinata's gaze flicked up suddenly, meeting his. "Are you okay, Naruto-kun?" Naruto blinked, realizing he'd been staring. "Yeah, I just..." I didn't sleep much last night. Her expression softened. She reached across the table, placing her hand gently over his. Don't overthink it, okay? You're always worrying. Her skin was warm against his. Her scent, the faint jasmine and honey, was undeniably Hinata's. For a fleeting moment, Naruto wanted to let himself believe this was normal. Maybe she had just wanted to try something new. Maybe his instincts were being paranoid. He managed a small smile, turning his hand so his fingers intertwined with hers. You're right, he said. I'm probably just tired. Hinata's lips curved upward. Good. She stood then, walking around the table toward him. Her bare feet made almost no sound against the wood floor. When she reached him, she leaned down, her hair falling like a curtain around their faces. Naruto could feel her breath against his skin, the warmth of it sending a shiver up his spine. Her lips met his, soft, familiar, the kind of kiss that spoke of love and belonging. But somewhere beneath that warmth was a trace of uncertainty, hesitation, as if she was testing him. Naruto's eyes fluttered open for a second during the kiss, and that's when he noticed it. Her eyes, just barely a different shade, slightly darker than usual. Hinata pulled away slowly, licking her lips with the same faint smile. Don't overthink, Naruto-kun, she whispered. Naruto stared at her, his mind caught between suspicion and denial. The words she'd said last night echoed in his head. What if I let my sisters and me test you to see if you can tell the difference between us? He swallowed hard, forcing a calm tone. Hinata. She looked at him expectantly. He opened his mouth, but the words died on his tongue. What could he even ask? Are you really my wife? The thought itself felt insane. So instead, he smiled faintly. Nothing. Just thinking. She grinned, brushing his cheek with her fingertips. Try not to think too much this morning, okay? Eat before your food gets cold. Naruto nodded, watching her turn back to the sink. The faint sway of her hips, the sway of her hair, the light movement of her shoulders. It was all her. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that someone else was wearing his wife's skin. As he picked up his fork, his hand trembled just slightly. He forced himself to eat, all the while listening to the quiet clinking of dishes and a soft hum of a woman who might or might not be Hinata. And for the first time since their marriage, Naruto realized he couldn't be entirely sure who he'd woken up next to that morning. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys liked the video, make sure you slam that like button, subscribe while you're at it. Remember, if you want a part 2 of this immediately, like I said earlier, I want my 30 likes. But the like goal is going to be 8 to 10 likes. So hit that like button and subscribe while you're at it. And without further ado, I am out, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, y'all.